What's up and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today we're doing another ranking video. That's right, we finally finished our Christopher Nolan marathon of films, and now we're gonna decide once and for all which film of his is the best of the best. I'm only talking about the films where he acted as writer and director, so I'm not including stuff like Insomnia, for instance. Just keep that in mind, and also let me know in the comment section down below which film of his you consider to be your favorite and how you'd rank the others. I'm curious on how we differ with our ranking, so let's get cracking. In 10th place, also known as last place, is Following at 65%. This is a weird movie that mostly feels out of place with Nolan's other works. You can sort of feel his spirit in there, but it's mostly something that feels like an art house student project thing that's trying to be fancy, being all, full screen and black and white, but it's also a slow movie that takes forever to get to the point, and it feels like a long short film in structure. It's fine for what it is, but it's not the first thing that I think of when you bring up Christopher Nolan. In 9th place at 79% is Dunkirk. This is a film that's definitely well made, right? When I watch this movie as a war film, I feel like atmospherically it almost feels like a distant cousin to 1917. Both films are really well made from a cinematography standpoint and everything. But this is also a film that I don't immediately think of Christopher Nolan with. Plus, I'm really picky when it comes down to war films, even if it was made by Christopher Nolan. So, yeah, decent movie, but not one of Nolan's best. In 8th place at 85% is Tenet. Yep, his latest film technically can be found in my bottom 3 of this list. I wish that wasn't the case, because the film introduces such an intelligent and complex concept, plus it's really exciting to watch, it really is. If it was just a little bit more understandable and didn't rely so heavily on exposition, then this may have joined the ranks of the others, because in some regards it seems to have the same soul and was cut from the same cloth as Inception, but it just never got there for me. Still a good movie, 85% is not a bad score by any means, it's just, it could have been technically better. In 7th place at 89% is Memento. This is a lot of people's favorite film of Nolan's, and for good reason. This is unique and mind-blowing. The first time Christopher Nolan was able to do his thing that makes people lose their minds over his movies. It also has one of the highest bias scores of this list, and in my opinion, it's a better example of things going in reverse compared to Tenet. I just wouldn't put this higher on my list because I don't think it matches the level of things going on behind the scenes as some of his other works, especially with cinematography. In 6th place at 91% is The Prestige. Honestly, I feel like this is one of those hidden gems for Christopher Nolan because I don't think many people consider this film when they think about him. But it was one of the best movies geared around magic in general. It's really smart and constantly makes you think, which is exactly what you want out of something that Christopher Nolan does. Plus, Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman do a really great job. This movie is kind of insane. What's even more insane is the fact that people seem to have forgotten that it exists. From here on out though, the rest of the movies in this ranking will all receive A+ letter grades, so from 96% and up. In 5th place at 96% is Interstellar. Here's where we start talking about the movies that come to mind when you think about Christopher Nolan in general. Interstellar is his space movie with Matthew McConaughey, the black hole, stuff like that. This isn't really a confusing or mind-melting film other than maybe the third act. It's just a really good space exploration film that uses a ton of scientific theories that are fun to think about, as well as some really interesting and good visuals on all these different planets. It also has the craziest soundtrack. In 4th place at 96% is Batman Begins. Here's our first overall tie between Batman Begins and Interstellar. This one comes out on top for one reason and one reason only. It has a better presentation of characters. It is a comic book movie, so it sort of had that going for it already, but when you take these characters out of the movie and look at them on their own, they're all really strong, while you can't really say the same about the people in Interstellar. It's still a really close race though. Batman Begins is just a really strong film that probably introduced me to Christopher Nolan. It's a great grounded vision for Batman. This whole trilogy was, especially when it came down to politics and everything. I don't know, I love me some Batman Begins. In 3rd place at 97% is The Dark Knight Rises. I do have this one rated 1% higher than Batman Begins because when you watch it, you feel like cinematically it's made better than Batman Begins. It has the soul of The Dark Knight, which makes it a better film, but only by slight. We also saw Batman and Bruce Wayne fight hand to hand in the past, but technically speaking, Bane was one of the best physical adversaries to Batman in the entire series, and that's something that you can't really ignore. In second place at 100% is The Dark Knight. Look at that! All 3 Batman movies back to back here. Basically, when I think about Christopher Nolan, you better believe that one of the first things that I think about is the Dark Knight trilogy. And this film, The Dark Knight, I consider to be a masterpiece. And not just because of Heath Ledger, but Ledger's performance as the Joker is still unmatched. It was just so iconic and bone-chilling that I don't think anybody will ever come close to what he did for this film. But once again, it's not just him. It's the politics, it's the music, it's the psychological aspects to the film, it's the ending, it's the start, it's everything between. The Dark Knight is, by all accounts, perfection. In first place at 100% is Inception. Here we have our second and final tie on the list between The Dark Knight and Inception, both of which got a perfect 100% score, meaning that on all technical levels, they match. There's only one reason why I think Inception's a better movie all around, because it's standalone and it's wholly original. The Dark Knight trilogy was more of an original approach to a character we've known since birth, and it wasn't standalone because it was a sequel to Batman Begins. So even though it's a perfect sequel, I would still consider Inception to be a better film because it was its own thing, introduced fully original ideas, and it never ceased to amaze and impress me while watching. It's one of these movies that I've seen the most times in my life, and I swear it only gets better every time that I watch it, making it the best film that not only Christopher Nolan has ever made, but one of the best movies ever made, period. And that's it. That's my ranking video for every Christopher Nolan film. What about you guys, though? How would you rank his stuff? As for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next ranking video. And until then, peace out.
Dave examines movies we just watch for fun. Davey is the expert. He is the #1 critic that I go to when I need a movie pick. Thanks for joining up with us. We think